What's up, and welcome back to Opposites Attract Podcast. This is Sonja Ramirez, your girl, and I'm sitting next to
Miguel Ramirez.
What's up, everybody? How was your day?
How was your week?
How is your life?
Going.
Hopefully it's going great.
Yeah.
Ours is going pretty well.
Pretty
we have
dang good.
a house full of little boys.
Well, we threw them out.
Yes, we threw them out so that we can record this podcast. But
for you guys.
Yes. I was just sharing with Miguel that I love the fact that we are that house that everyone likes to come to and play. And at times it's crazy, for us because it's so noisy because they're just running around, hitting each other with Nerf guns and just being boys. But it's so great to see them, and I'm glad that we are that house. And I told Miguel, I hope that this remains when they get, older and, we are the house where they want to come kick back.
Yeah. Well, there's like those things, kind of like when Larry was on the podcast, he had told us that one time that we met up with him where he said there's that one generation that has to sacrifice for the rest, right?
Right.
There's like certain things that people say sometimes that just kind of like stick in your head.
Right.
And our old neighbor, I remember one time he was like fixing up the house.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he said. He's like, I want the house to be the house that everybody wants to go to.
Yes.
He's like, I'd rather have all the kids here so that I can see what everybody's into.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all having, and it can be stressful because you got a bunch of little kids running around. Right. It's freaking noisy all the time. Mm-hmm. But I would rather have them here and know what they're getting into and be able to tell them, hey, put that down. Don't play with that. Don't do that.
Well, we don't even do that.
Not really, no.
But it's good to know who he's hanging out with as well. Is it good company? Is it bad company? So that's why I'm like, let's welcome them. And, and that's why I say when they get older, right, things start to change. They're not playing with Nerf guns. Dude. They're playing with their beepies.
And yeah. I don't know if I want... Yeah, I don't want a bunch of friends over. You know what that's called, babe?
Shut up.
It's called a circle jerk.
That's so gross. You boys, men, you guys. Yeah. It's so crazy how different we are. Yeah. Female and male. Like
you guys are playing with dolls.
Yeah, you guys are playing with your beepies.
Here we go.
Anyways.
Here we go.
Yesterday, Adriana and I, we were hanging out, just talking. Like when we go to our Connect group for church, that is our time.
Yeah.
And that's why I really love going. I have her on the walk back or on the drive up there. And then, she's hanging out with all the other kids there. But then when we come home, we get to just spend that quality time together.
Yeah.
And, we were just chatting away. And then when we got home, she went and did her thing and I went and did my thing. And then we came back together and we started talking again. And she told me, Mom, she's like, you're a good mom. And I'm like, aw. Like it came out of nowhere. And I asked her, and as a parent, this, women and men, I'm sure, when you hear that from your child, it is so rewarding. It feels so good because being a parent, you're always questioning yourself whether you're doing the right thing, if you're raising them correctly.
Yeah.
And hearing that made me feel good. Not only that, but I asked her, I'm like, what makes me a good mom? Because am I a good mom? Because I just let you do whatever it is that you want to do. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
But I didn't ask her that. I just told her, I'm like, what makes me? I'm loving.
Yeah. No, yeah. Well, like you're saying, like a softie, you just let her get away with everything and everything is always fun, but a disaster.
Right.
Is it that why?
And she told me, she's like, because you're strict. She's like, but you're not too strict.
Yeah.
Like she considers a good parent having that structure, stability, not allowing them to get away with everything, which is kind of weird, right? For a kid to say that, but I get it.
You hear that all the time though. Like when you talk to people that study parenting, like we've had a few people on the show and, we try to study some of that stuff, usually a little bit late and after the fact, which freaking sucks. But, and sometimes in the moment when we need to figure something out. But, yeah, like you hear that from people that study parenting that they say like, that's what kids like actually want. They don't, they may not tell you that, but they want the discipline. They want the boundaries. They want the structure. You know?
And that's what I appreciate with my mom, because she was strict with me, but not as strict as she was when my older sisters, you know, when she was raising them with my dad.
Yeah.
You know, so with me, she was strict, but she allowed me to do some things. She allowed me to make some mistakes, but I was scared of her. So I didn't want to make any mistakes, you know, like I was sharing with you, you know, when my friends were out there, and I got to think about this, when my friends were out there getting into some shit, right? Like in high school, I was not. Like, I was in my books. I told you I was boy crazy, you know, but I was responsible. But I don't know if it was because I knew better, like, okay, I don't want to do this because then this could happen. Or was it I was scared of my mom, so I better not do that kind of deal, you know? I don't know. I got to think about, you know, that one. What about yourself? How was it with you growing up? Was there a lot of structure? Were your parents strict?
There was structure. I mean, it was like every day, but it wasn't so much with my dad as much like, from what I remember, the parts that I do remember growing up, I would leave school, go to my grandfather's, go to my grandmother's. Like, I would go to my grandfather's job. We would drive to my grandmother's. We would eat. I would play with my friends for a little bit, but then my grandmother would yell down the hallway, and then we would go work in the evenings.
Okay. So let me share this with you all. Miguel's grandmother, she's not a woman you want to play with. Like,
she doesn't
for real. Even when I met her, like, I knew, like, I just felt her, you know, good thing I am sensitive to energy, because when I met her, I knew I could feel it. I could feel it. And I'm like, she's either going to love me or hate me. There's no in
and she
between.
Loved you.
Yes, she did, because I was real with her, you know? And what was so hilarious was that I remember going grocery shopping with her, and Alan was at the house. When she came, who was there? Because she was talking about nephews and niece or her grandkids. And I remember her telling me, because she speaks a lot of Spanish, but she knows some English, but she plays dumb with you all. She played as if you guys didn't recognize, like, she knew what was going on. She knew when you guys were getting into things. She knew when you guys were lying. She knew when you were trying to manipulate, because I remember being at the grocery store and she told me, they think that I don't understand. They think, you know, that I don't know what they're up to or what they're doing. But she told me, she's like, I do. And she said it with a smile. Yeah. She said it with a smile. And I look at her and I'm like, you're sneaky. Yeah. And she just started like laughing, you know, and I don't even know if she knew what sneaky meant. But that's when I was like, man, you all better watch out. And you were older, you know, obviously, because we were together. But she knows what's up. She is not a dumb lady. She is with it. And then when you told me one time that you were at school and a little boy like was messing with you, and she made you go and
well, she made me fight, and she got in there.
And then she helped you?
Yeah, and then she helped me. We jumped them.
Look, dude. Like, explain to everybody, because it's funny.
Well, what happened?
And how old was she at that time?
Well, I know for a fact this was elementary school.
And by the way, his grandmother is short. How old? How tall is she? Seems like the little ones are feisty as shit.
Your height.
Yeah. You know, I'm 5'1".
5'1", something
you know,
like that.
But it's like the little ones are crazy, a little feisty.
Yeah, but I was in elementary school, and what happened was, I don't know if it was after school. I'm guessing it was after school, because there's no reason that she would have been there for lunch.
Yes, right.
But it was after school. We were in the schoolyard. Everybody was kind of leaving, and I don't know what happened. Me and this kid had a problem. I don't remember what grade it was in. I just remember that it might have been like a basketball, because I remember it was kind of like fenced in, like savages. We were fighting fenced in a cage. But then my grandmother ends up coming in and saw that we were fighting. So she was coming to pick me up or something.
Oh, okay.
And she saw that we were fighting, and she was like, get in there and kick his ass, pretty much. You know?
I think it's so
and I don't even know if she knew what it was about.
Yeah, she didn't care.
Yeah, I don't know. But she was like, get in there and kick his ass. And then whenever the kid would go to hit me or do something, like, she would break it up. So it wasn't really fair for that kid. So I kicked the shit out of that kid. You know?
Did you ever talk to her about that?
Yeah, of course. She always used to. There's little things, and those that know my grandmother, like my family, my brothers, my sister. She has, with every person, she's got like certain memories, and you would hear about those memories hundreds of times throughout your life. You know, because when they get old, they don't remember, and those are the things. When you know what? It's funny that you mentioned that, because I didn't even think about this, but I've thought about it before. Like with my grandmother, as she got older. And, they start losing their memory. They don't for all of us that were in my grandmother's life, like we know, like for her not to remember you anymore, that's tough.
Yeah. What was
in
the Heights? She was that grandmother in
there.
There. When I was watching that with you and your brother, I was so emotional because I knew you guys were feeling it.
Yeah.
Because she had just passed.
Yeah. And, but yeah, she... Like everybody has those special moments with her, but as you get older, you start to forget. And before, when she could remember, she would bring those up.
Aww.
And I knew, like, it's like one of those people that just keep talking about the same thing over and over. And after a while, you're just like, oh, again with the same story.
Yeah.
But then as she started getting older and she couldn't remember me, I would bring up the stories.
Aww.
You know what I mean? Because she would be like, oh yeah, like the fight, there was a fight. It was sleeping on the floor in the offices when we would work. She would always remember that. So when she didn't remember who I was, I would tell her, remember we used to sleep in the floor in the offices in Manhattan when I was a kid. And she would be like, oh, or you helped me fight that one time in school. She'd be like, oh, or you told me to get out and go ride my skates, because there was one time I wanted these rollerblades because we were grinding and doing all this shit back in the day. And there was these skates that I really wanted because I had like the roller skates that people go through the cones, and I wanted the ones that you can jump up on and grind shit. And those are different. They're made bulkier. Usually they're like more hockey skates. So I had like the figure skating bullshit, and all my friends had all the nice shit, and I wanted the other ones. And I kept bugging them, and I finally got a nice pair of skates.
Aww.
And then I don't know what happened, but I must have been, and you know what? It was my grandmother and my aunt Pati, my cousin Lisette's mom, and they were talking about something, and I kept getting on their damn nerves. Like it's just it's a kid shit, just fucking nonstop.
Yeah, you were determined.
And in Spanish, skates are called patines, and my grandmother just got fucking sick of me, and she's like, "Hey, go to patin." She just fucking yelled at me, like, get the fuck out of here, go skate. And I'm like, okay, I'm out. But those were the things, like when my grandmother...
Kids know.
When my grandmother got old and she couldn't remember me, I would tell her, Abuelita, you remember go to patin? And she's like, and then she would smile or she would laugh,
Yeah. So, I mean, her memory, she had a great memory.
Yeah.
I mean, she passed away at 93 years old. And the last year is really when she started to deteriorate like her memory.
Yeah. No, she was sharp for a long time.
Yeah. So you got some good genes, boy. Do you feel that she was the one that really helped you with your work ethic, or was that the Air Force?
I think it was a combination of both. Maybe some of the Air Force.
And your self-discipline.
Some of the Air Force. I think it might have been my grandmother. The hustling part, some of the hustle stuff, maybe from my dad seeing some of the things. Also playing on teams, that helped me. That has a big part. I don't know if people realize, especially football. Like there's a lot of sacrifice that you make for your teammates, like not letting them down, doing your job, being accountable. That shit's important.
Were you in any sports when you were younger? Because I know you didn't get into football until I was a little bit older. School,
yeah,
right?
Probably.
It was high school, right?
No. I played football a little bit younger. Maybe around a little bit older than, maybe about Joey's age. Might have been my first. Actually, I saw the freaking my first team jersey. Actually, I'll bring it next podcast. It's in the garage. Yeah, I found it in the closet. But that I think I must have been like 12.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah, 12. And then I played 2 years in New York. Then I played a little bit in high school in Florida. And then I played when I was in the Air Force.
Yeah.
As an adult. But yeah, I think probably about 11, 12. But those are things, I don't think you get it as a little kid though. I don't think I understood.
Yeah.
You don't understand those things as a little kid. But as you get older, maybe in maybe my second year, maybe when I was like 14, I started like I could kind of see the kids and I'm like, all right, well, I mean, we're all trying to do something here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like we win together, you know, we all fight together out there. So you kind of start to understand and feel it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then as an adult, when you get to high school, the bond is bigger and stronger and that kind of thing. And the military is similar to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Today during breakfast, I think I brought up the conversation with Adriana.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what we were talking about at the very beginning, but the conversation turned into gambling and drugs and serotonin. Do you remember
Like
all the
chemicals that our bodies release that make us
Right.
feel different ways.
And I think that it's so important for us to talk to. Audrey's 12 years old. I feel as a parent that it's very important for us to talk to our kids about how to handle their emotions, give them different outlets. But they have to, in order for them to have those outlets, they have to recognize their emotions and their feelings.
Yeah.
You know, with Audrey, I love the fact that she has been journaling for quite some time. Yeah.
Dude, yesterday she
Every
pulled out her
day.
journal. She's like on page 90 something.
Yes.
I was surprised. I didn't know she's been doing it for that long.
Well, let me tell you, it happens. It starts with us.
Yeah.
Because she sees, I take my journal every time. Like I have a spiritual journal.
I have a jujitsu
I have a
journal.
Sonja. I have my own personal, journal. Like I have journals everywhere.
Yeah.
And she sees me. I mean, before when I was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and, doing my thing, she would see me praying, journal, writing, and I told her why I did it, but I never like forced her. I talked to her about why I did it. And then she started to do it.
Yeah.
But it's so good because that is an outlet for her. But today with kids and all the pressure, the social pressure that they have on themselves, they're going through so much internally. And if we don't internally, and if we don't bring it to their attention, you may have them looking in a different direction to numb those feelings, whether it's food, whether it's social media. Once they get older, it could be sex, it could be drugs, gambling, just all of that. So helping her to recognize, to understand, and why certain things make her feel good. Like she loves to eat, right? Like she really enjoys. She'll be a great foodie, actually, for her to do something like that. We got to talk to her about that because she wants to
she
travel.
Could be a gluten-free foodie. That's a freaking good niche right there.
Yeah, we need to talk to her about that.
Right.
Yeah, write that down.
Oh shit! And we're gonna delete this out of the podcast in case somebody else that's gluten-free is listening.
But so we started talking to her, about it, and I, my
Go for it.
My
There's
parents,
room for more than one if you're out there.
My parents like to go to the casino, and there was a point in time where a situation had happened and my sister Diane was with them, and she was on drugs at one point and ended up cleaning up and went to go live with my mom to get away from where she was at, and she went to the casino with my mom and my stepdad, and my sister she broke down and she started crying, and she told my mom, she's like, I got to step out. She's like, I can't. She's like, I can't do this. This reminds me of when I used to have my, what is it? My breakdown when I didn't have it. Like
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, like my next fix kind of deal.
When you're fiending, that's what they say. Yeah, I don't know.
Ghetto. And I was talking to Adriana about, just certain things. And
when you're having withdrawals.
Yes.
Is that what it is? No.
No, I don't know. Anyways. But I had told her, I'm like, I want you to think about your favorite, dessert or your favorite food, your favorite snack. Think about it right now. Really think about it. How are you feeling? Or are you feeling like a little bit excited just thinking about it? And she said, yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's, happens when, with drugs, and also happens.
Yeah. It releases that stuff. Yeah. And then like we started kind of getting into, like what people use that stuff for, or like why. And we were saying like sometimes with the casino, like people feel it's a quick way to do something. Like it's a quick way to make money, or even with the drugs, like it's a quick way to kind of suppress all those feelings. And now I'm going to be happy.
Right.
Like it's a quick fix.
Yes.
And we were telling her like, this is just another example of there are no quick fixes for anything. Like it just doesn't happen. You have to work the shit out.
That's right.
You know, and if you have issues with money, like we were telling her, like some people you pay $700 in rent and you have $800 and you're like, well, I'm going to spend $100 at the casino. And then you start getting that thought that I lost $100. Maybe if I take 50, I can make that 100 back or something. I don't know, man. I haven't, I'm just, this is just, I'm guessing.
Us talking to our daughter.
I'm guessing. This is what we're talking about because I haven't had that situation or whatever. But that's just what I'm thinking is like, if I take $50, maybe I can make 100, my 150 back. But then you lose the 50, then you lose another 50. And then now it's almost like, well, shit, if I just take 300 or 400, I can make it all back in one shot. And then you end up losing a whole bunch more. And then it ends up causing problems. And that just goes to show you that there are no quick fixes for anything. You have to find an actual solution. Like if you had a hard day or a hard childhood or you have trauma or shit that you have to work out and you want to take drugs or whatever, and that takes your mind completely off of it for a while.
It's a temporary fix.
When that shit is gone, you're going to have to come back and you're going to be in the same hellhole that you were in before.
Yes.
It's not any different. So there are no quick fix. Like you're going to have to face that stuff, work it out. Where do these feelings come from? Where do these emotions come from? Why am I thinking this way? And it's not easy.
Yes. And the one thing that I know and that I've recognized is that in our family, it runs high when it comes to, like bad habits, drugs, alcoholism, gambling.
Yeah.
And that scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And therefore, that's why I've always stayed away. Because it seems like we have that
addictive personality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And the only thing that I'm addicted to right now is you.
Oh.
Aww.
Thanks.
But just like letting her know, like, you got to slow down, recognize what you're feeling, why you're feeling it, write it down, work out, like figure out what your outlet is. What is it, and let's talk about it.
We were even talking about like our business, like how we met in Legal Shield. One of the things about network marketing, one of the big selling points is that you're the boss. You can make as much money as you want. Mm-hmm. You have time freedom. You have all this money. You can do whatever.
Right.
And the way that you can sell it sometimes is by making it seem like it's going to be quick.
Right.
Like it's a quick thing.
There's not too much work to put into it.
And that's why a lot of people will call it like they get rich quick. And that's it's so cliche because we've talked about it. And if you've been in these companies, like, it, if you have experience with it, it. The people that do blow up quick usually had trials and tribulations and experience and all kinds of stuff in other companies. And then when they showed up to this company, they freaking hit the ground running and they blew it up.
Yes. This was our first. Yeah. Leadership was my first and only.
But like when we were talking to Audrey, it's like, it's not quick. There is no quick
fix.
There is no quick. You have to work.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. And if there is quick, it's probably a scam and it's probably not good for you. That's pretty much what we told her, Yep.
It's all about work.
I know that song comes up all the time. That's what we're doing all the time.
But it's so important for us parents to really talk to our children about these types of conversations, because a lot of times, like, we were late, especially when it came to puberty and talking to her about things that we thought that we should talk about.
You think we were late?
To her in some situations because they were talking about it at school already.
True. Yeah.
So it's like, because we thought, you see her and it's like she's this loving, innocent, right? That's the way innocent girl. And then someone is talking about something in school, and then she comes home and she's like, hey mom, what is this? And then I'm like, where'd you hear that from? School. That's when I'm like, okay, hold up. The conversation needs to happen.
Sit down. We need to talk.
Yes. Yes.
Or not sit down and we need to talk, because that makes it weird.
Yeah.
But let's talk. Go get ice cream or something.
Yeah. But that's, why I say in some situations we were late, because she would bring it up to us and then we're like, oh, wait, what? They're talking about what at school? So.
But I think the worst, not the worst, but like just different styles or different ways to parent. I think something that would hurt the kid would be like the parents that just like the kids are going to go through this stuff no matter what at school. So maybe we were late talking to her about this stuff and she found out about it at school, but then she came to us.
Right.
But if we were parents that weren't paying attention, that didn't talk to her, and we didn't find out what she learned at school.
Right.
And now it's just, oh, she learned that at school and mom and dad are off doing whatever and I'm doing whatever the hell I want to do and nobody pays attention to me anyway.
Great point.
And then I think that's a problem. But even if we're not on top of it 100%, if we're involved, we're still going to find out about it pretty quick.
Right.
Like it's not going to surprise us. I mean, it may surprise us, but we can address it.
And they're pretty good about coming to us to talk to us. And I think, like you said, it's just because the communication is there. And there's times where she's like, I'm like, hey, how was your day? And she's like, good. I'm like, liar. And I'm like, Adriana, do you know who you're talking to? I'm like, I know you're lying. Yeah. I'm like, if you don't feel like talking about it right now, that's okay. But we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I tell her, I'm like, you can't tell me one thing when you're feeling another, because I feel you. And she knows I do. Yeah. So she just smiles.
That's good. And maybe like the parents that they're on top of it and they know it before, like they figured out all the shit that they're going to be going through. And as soon as a kid starts doing something, they're like, oh, that's this behavior and it's this. And like they have everything ahead. I don't know if maybe like that's like more like the helicopter parent, and maybe that's not as good because you're just, I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe that is good. As long as you do it the right way and you parent them the right way, having the information. But I think, neglect, like if you're not paying attention, that's going to be trouble.
Yeah. And I told her, and I think this is another conversation that we have to bring up and have with her is, we're going to love you regardless, because they're going to make mistakes. They're going to do some shit, right? Yeah. Like they're going to
of course
make some mistakes, but it's like always knowing that, we're going to love you regardless. And I think, when she comes home with certain grades or she does make a mistake, not really pounding her down, making her feel worse about the mistake, but letting her know like, hey, we're very disappointed in the choices that you made, and what are you, what are you going to do to fix this? And then maybe give her some options, but letting her know, we love you, and we've done the same, we've done similar things. It's just, that's how you learn. And I hear a lot about parents that try to shelter their kids from making any mistakes.
That's tough.
And like that's a very hard place to be.
It's hard to do.
Because the child is never going to experience things, or they're just not going to learn from their mistakes. Like it's because you're preventing it or either fixing it for them. So when a mistake does occur, it's like, okay, well, what could you have done different? Like, why do you feel that, do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like making them think about what could have you done to prevent this from happening?
Yeah.
And letting them figure it out. And that's hard. Like I'm saying it right now, but as a parent, it's hard when your child makes a mistake for you not to react like, ugh.
Yeah.
Right? Like okay, woosah, stay calm. Like it's like I have to talk to myself so that I don't overreact in a way to where she's like, oh shit, I shouldn't have told my mom.
I was just writing down a note. Like I want to look it up, because like how do you properly, or when do you properly like allow kids to make mistakes so that they learn? Because I know I know now. How? For what? What mistakes? You know what I mean? Because there's some mistakes that you, like a lot of time as a parent, sometimes you see them fucking up and you don't want them to fuck up and you want to help them. But there's some mistakes that you should just let them fucking be a disaster or mess it up or do whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's always tough, like letting them make the mistake.
Right.
Because that's kind of like what we feel like we should be there to help them.
I have an example. So with Audrey's, I think it was one of her grades. I mean, she did great this past time, but I think it was, she forgot the science project. Remember?
Yes.
Remember? And she had almost straight A's. She had 1 B. And she woke up one morning.
Was it the weekend?
Emotional, right? No, it was like on a Friday. She woke up and she's like crying. I'm like, Adriana, baby, why aren't you not up yet? It's 7:00. And she's like, Mom, I didn't get enough sleep. Can I please just not go to school? And her eyes are bulging. And I could tell she is an emotional wreck. And I'm like, hey, did you finish your your homework? Did you get up? Because she was supposed to get up at 5 because that's what she normally does.
Yeah.
And she's like, no. And I'm like, so are you making this big scene up right now because you didn't finish your science project? And that's why you're not wanting to go to school? And she just looked at me and I said, hey, do you feel that that's the right thing to do?
Yeah.
You know, what could you have done different?
Yep.
I said, listen, you have to face it now. You're going to school. So get up. And she did. She went to school. And when she came home, I'm like, how was your day? She's like, great. I'm like, so how did you resolve, your problem with your homework not being completed? She's like, I talked to my teacher and my teacher told me to, turn it in, that I can go ahead and turn it in. Yep. And I said, there you go. You don't avoid the problem. You face it and you speak your truth. You go and you tell your teacher.
Yeah. That's good.
Can you pat me on the back? No.
No, that's good. And you know what? A couple weeks ago, we were talking about on the podcast, like the effects of when you're disciplining a kid. Like we've all had this happen. You're disciplining a kid and they're crying and you're fed up. Mm-hmm. You're fed up. You're frustrated, and you just like literally you don't want to hear them anymore. Like I'm just fucking done with the crying, with the all of that. Like I just don't. Just be quiet. I'm tired of hearing you. That's it. I know we've all done that. And maybe not. That's pretty freaking light, I think, sometimes. But because sometimes it's like, hey, Yeah. And some people, like I haven't cursed at the kids, but some people, they just freaking go hard.
Right.
Too hard.
Yeah.
And like, what does that do to kids? So I had mentioned on a previous podcast that I wanted to look up some stuff, and I did, and I looked up, and there's some pretty interesting stuff that I want to get into. But before we do that, make sure you guys go to oppositesattractpodcast.com, share it with your friends. You guys can find our social media there. You can watch our videos there. You can listen to the podcast there. You can find all of our clips there. And you'll see a link that says support the show at the top. Or if you're on your phone and you hit the menu button, you'll see the support the show tab. If you click on that, it'll take you to our Amazon link. And anything that you purchase through that link doesn't cost you anything extra, but it helps out the show. And while you're there, you can find our merch on Amazon by searching Opposites Attract Podcast. You can find t-shirts, pop sockets, phone cases, a bunch of other stuff. So you guys make sure you check it out, Opposites Attract Podcast on Amazon. And also when you go to the Support the Show tab, you'll find a link to Trust Inc. And Trust Inc. is?
We are a nationwide mobile notary agency and signing agency. So if you are in the process of purchasing, refinancing, or selling your home, you can request Trust Inc. to be your signing agency.
There you go. And we're also affiliates with Libsyn, which is who hosts our podcast. If you guys have a hobby that you want to talk about, if you've ever thought about starting a podcast and you want to give it a shot, if you use promo code OAP for Opposites Attract Podcast with Libsyn, you'll get whatever month you sign up in for free, and you'll get the next month for free just for trying out Libsyn. And they distribute our podcast to iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, all the different places where you can listen to podcasts. They distribute it out there to them. So yeah, Libsyn, promo code OAP. And we're also affiliates with Pinwheel, which is a smartphone for kids, which we're super excited about. You want to talk a little bit about Pinwheel?
Well, what I love about Pinwheel is that we can actually spy on our daughter. No.
I don't know if that's what it was intended for.
Who she's talking to. We can read the text messages. We get to approve her contacts, all that good stuff. And it's not that, this is the thing. It's not that we don't trust her.
It's not so much the tracking and all that stuff.
Yes. It's just, with where she's at right now, again, with adults, we can't even control ourselves when we're on social media. And the stuff that we take in order to process, I do not want my daughter going through that right now.
Everybody's addicted to technology.
I know.
I mean, look at all you guys listening to this right now.
You're probably watching it on Facebook and you have your heads down into your phone like the letter F.
Check out that last clip. But if you guys would like 10% off of a Pinwheel phone, use promo code OAP10. That's all in caps, OAPTEN. And they don't have access to social media. They don't have any of the time-sucking, attention-sucking apps that are out there. They can't get out there onto the internet and look at all the bad stuff that's out there. The apps are all picked by professionals, parents, therapists that make sure that these apps are tools
which is great.
That are good for kids that'll help them be more productive. So if you want 10% off, OAPTEN on pinwheel.com.
There you go. Good job.
Dang.
Good job. You just hold
good. Next week, Sonja's got it for real this time.
No,
I keep forgetting.
No, I don't. I'll help you with Pinwheel. No.
But so I was reading a couple articles, and this one is from moms.com. I told you I looked up a bunch. This one's from moms.com.
Okay.
But I want to read this real quick. But it says, we adults need to be aware of the power of the words we choose to speak in front of children. As discussed by EFT and counseling, dismissive behavior coupled with abusive and hurtful words can make a child feel that they are being judged all the time. As a result, the child grows up with a low self-esteem who always feels discouraged. And the kid's whole life will circle around what he hears from his parents rather than what he truly is as a human being. So that's the effects when you don't, acknowledge their emotions.
Yes. That is so good. And
so good.
Hey, we're giving stuff away. They're gonna know what we watch. Anyways, so Joey, this is all a parenting podcast, which is good. It's good. People need to hear this. But so Joey, we just had a parent-teacher conference with his teacher, and he's doing so well. And what was so great was that I had scheduled it at a time where he was at school, but when we were in it, like, they were just speaking nothing but good stuff, great stuff. And it made us feel so good as parents to know that, what, our kids, like, they're fighting, like they're trying, they're doing it.
Yeah.
And not only that, but to hear that he's very kind and polite.
I love that.
His manners. Yes. Like, he thanks his teachers for teaching him.
You know what?
Thank you for teaching me math.
You know what, when I was a kid, well, I hated freaking parent-teacher conferences because I was horrible. But I remember, like, it was all focused on my grades. And, I mean, of course, it's academics, it's school, it's whatever. Mm-hmm. But now being a parent and knowing, like, the academics, okay, great. Mm-hmm. I want effort. That's all I want.
Right.
Like, if you're not doing good, but you're putting in effort, then great. Mm-hmm. We'll figure out what we need to adjust to make it better. Mm-hmm. But as long as you're putting in the effort, that's what I care about. Mm-hmm. But even more than the academics, like, I love that whenever we talk to the kids' teachers, they're always like, they are very nice kids. Yes. They are very sweet. They're very polite. They have great manners.
Yes.
Like, that to me is,
it does,
if not more important than the academic stuff. I want them to be good people.
Yes. Because that will take them a long way.
Yeah.
But so when we're, in the middle of this, towards the end, Joey comes in, and we're having a Zoom parent-teacher conference. So he comes in, and his teachers are just speaking very highly of him.
Yeah.
And he comes in, and he's like, oh, he recognizes his teachers' voices.
Yeah.
He comes in with a big-ass smile.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're doing so well. You're so, so I think we just keep working towards that. And it reassures us that that we are bringing up good little human beings, you know?
Yeah.
So
No, that's good.
Yes.
No, I love that.
Yes.
Here, let me read a couple things real quick. There's another one that from fatherly.com that kind of has to do with
fatherly.com.
Yeah, I had to balance it out because the other one was from moms. This one's from fatherly. This one caught my attention because it had a bad word like right in the beginning. I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna keep reading this." But it says it is Calvinist and naive to have to see the suffering. This is about like when they're crying, like when they cry, when a kid starts crying when you're disciplining them. It is Calvinist and naive to see the suffering, says Dr. Jean Barrison, executive director of the Clay Center for Young, Healthy Minds. Parents want to know their child understands they did something wrong. What our culture has shown us is that signs of suffering are signs that they get it. So it's like when they start crying, when you start seeing the tears, it's like, oh, they finally get it. Like I think they understand what I'm talking about. And
that's what the parents thinking?
I think like that's one of those, like once they start crying, it's like, okay, they understand why this is such a big deal, you know, and now I can kind of lay off a little bit. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of but there was another thing like with crying and parenting, but it says whenever you're disciplining, like don't yell at or belittle your child. Don't discipline while angry. This is from
so true.
This is from a different article. This is Very Well Family. Let me look up the website. You guys can find it if you want. verywellfamily.com. But it says, don't yell or belittle your child. Discipline while angry. Be inconsistent, enforcing only at times. Deliver a long, detailed explanation. That's probably me. Focus on what was wrong rather than how to correct the behavior. Think of discipline as punishing poor behavior. Break the rules you hold your kids to. So like you're not following your own rules. Use the same discipline approach with every child and set any rules or consequences. But you know, one of those things like when we were talking about when you're disciplining a kid and you're telling them to stop crying, like there was another article that I was reading, and I think it was from Psychology Today, where like some people feel like it's if you're crying, like all the emotions just like you can cry forever. If you cry all the time, then it's okay. That's not true. It's not true that you should just be crying like, oh, that's an emotion and that's okay because it's a sensitive or whatever, and you could just cry whenever. No, sometimes you got to cut the shit and buckle down and get busy. Like, and there was one of the things that they were talking about was like, I think they call it buck up, like fucking get it together. Let's go. And there are differences. And in that article was what I was telling you about, like they call it bi-parenting, where like we have different roles, like the mother and the father.
Yes.
And when a kid's crying and you're disciplining them and you tell them to, you know, I'm sick of hearing you, be quiet, stop crying or whatever, that can't be the end. Oh, maybe that's what I was missing. It's the things that the kid is thinking. But what you have to do is help them with the problem. Like now, like, hey, stop crying. That's enough. But you don't just turn around and fucking walk out. It's like, okay, so what was the problem that we're having? Like how? Right. What do we do now?
Why are you so frustrated?
All right, stop. All right, let's figure it out now. You know, like wipe their tears.
Yes.
What do we do?
Yes.
You know what I mean? As opposed to, hey, stop. I'm tired of hearing you and I'm fucking out of here.
That is so good. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Especially like with Joey when he starts crying.
Check out our Facebook group. I'm going to post all these articles, everything that I found. I'll post it in there and you guys can find it for the podcast.
So this past week, like with Joey and his homework, we've been doing great.
We have been doing great.
Yes. Well, I have been doing great. No.
We have been doing great. I did homework too.
You know, but it's like, hey, it's okay. Because I see him getting frustrated. I'm like, I know you want to play, but your homework is your priority right now. And let's do this together. And when you're done, you can go out. You can go play. I get it. You know, just, you know, sympathizing
and we
with
told
what
the teachers
he's feeling. Yes.
You know what? Oh, what the hell was it? It was during the conference. You freaking said something, and I was like, "What'd you say?" You know. But it was I think it had to do with like it was with the playing, but it was one of those things like, hey, if Joey, if he can do this and this, like it would help. And you kind of like hit the brakes. You're like, he's 4. He wants to play. Like, it kind of like, I don't disagree. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not 4. He's not 4. He's in 4th grade.
Oh, yeah. I'm like,
he's a 4th grader. All they want to do is play. He's been at school all day. I don't disagree with him wanting to play. That's what he's supposed to want to do.
Yeah, for sure. So during our Connect group, they were talking about the spirit of having an orphan's like spirit or something like that. And anyways, they were talking about like, a certain, I can't remember how they brought it together, but anyways, the other day when you came home from jiu-jitsu, you were telling me that you went and you called me and said, hey, I'm going to go get some ice cream for Joey because he was doing very well in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And so you went and got him ice cream. And when you guys came home, I noticed that Audrey looked a bit down and I'm like, hey, what's up? And she was really emotional, but it too was because that time of the month, Aunt Flo was coming the next day, and I knew she was just acting a little, just a little emotional. And she's like, I don't get it. She's like, I don't get it. She's like, Joey, Dad went and got Joey ice cream and I asked him for some ice cream and he didn't get me the flavor I wanted and, la da 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 da, just complaining about it. And I'm like, Adriana, you should be happy for your brother. You should be happy for your brother.
Yeah.
The reason why Dad got him ice cream was because he was doing very well. And most of the days, he's getting his butt kicked.
He's had a hard
jealousy,
time.
Yeah. And I was telling her, and I'm like, jealousy is not a good thing. I'm like, that's your little brother. Yeah. Because jealousy can divide. Jealousy can create division, envy, And so I had to have that conversation with her. When we went to the Connect group, it was like right on time. It was like they were talking about that.
It's funny how that works.
And I'm like, this is good stuff.
Yeah. Keep talking.
Yes. And it's so true. And it's not even, in that situation, but us as adults, like when we're watching and we're on social media or, our best friend is going on vacation and is in a happy marriage and life is going well for her. And you feel a bit, how
come I don't have all that? Or how come my life's not like that?
Right. And he had, and they talked about, just
do adults feel that way too?
Grateful. Yes. I think being grateful for where you're at, for every little thing, and when was the last time you slowed down and was, grateful for maybe someone who, let you cut in front of them?
Yeah.
Or maybe someone paid for your coffee or someone called you to see how you are. Like it's like checking yourself. That's what it is. Checking yourself and seeing what it is, just being grateful for where you're at.
They could always be worse.
And what's and the good things that have happened to you, because there's a lot of things. They may be little, but it's just being grateful for life. It's being grateful for life.
And that's why that social media shit is not good. It's not good for that.
Yeah, it was such a great message because I was thinking about that situation with Audrey and Joey.
Yeah.
And afterwards we did, you told her, like I always tell you, like I tell you because she's like, and who am I? Like, am I not?
Well,
it was almost like she was not feeling good enough. Like
she was having a pity party.
Yes.
That's what she was having.
Yes.
She was, oh, poor me. Sorry for herself.
Yes.
And I talked to her because we have like this rule. Not really. It's like, kind of like a rule. So whenever any of us gets a stripe, we go buy ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
I'll either take them to Dairy Queen or whatever, or we'll go to Fry's and they can pick out whatever ice cream they want and some toppings, and then we'll do that. And like I said, Joey, he hasn't really been focused. He hasn't it's just kind of showing up and going through the motions. To be honest,
we all do that.
To be honest, I've done that a lot lately. and I need to get back on it too. But you don't get better that way. Like I told him, I told him, I talked to him about it. I was like, dude, when you just show up and you do the bare minimum just to get through class and you're not really focused and trying to pay attention, you're not trying to go hard, because when you go hard, other people go hard, and then you have to test your stuff in like a real environment, like for real. And the moves don't work exactly the same when somebody's resisting you. And that's how you learn to actually do them live, you know? And if you don't train for real, you're not going to get better. And lately he's been throwing down more and he's been scrapping more. And the thing is that, what was it? Wednesday, we were in class and he was doing well. I was watching him from across the mat. He was doing well. He was getting beat, but he wasn't giving up. He was fucking scrapping, even when he had somebody on top of him and he was moving, pushing, you know, trying to get out.
That's so good.
Where a lot of times you just give up. Yes. And
did you recognize him for that?
So I saw some, usually after class, if I see that there's something easy that I can help the kids with, I'll try and tell them. And so after they got done with their class, I told Joey, I was like, hey, come here. I want to show you something that I saw. So I was working with Joey, and one of the coaches from the other mat, he was like, hey, I have never seen him scrap like that. I was like, that is the best I've ever seen him do. Aww. And I was like, Joe, you hear that? I was like, thank you so much. I was like, I really appreciated this and that. And he didn't get a stripe that day, but it had been so long since he had done that. I was like, I can't.
Right.
Like not
That's
like
right.
Just let this go.
No, recognize
we have
that.
to do something. So I was like, you know what? At the minimum, let's go get ice cream.
Yes.
And when he was fighting, he's in the same class as Audrey. He used to be on my mat because I'm on the mat. I help with the smaller kids. Now he's on the bigger kids mat. And I was also like, I would watch Audrey a little bit, and she was doing well too. And she's also had a hard time, and she was kicking butt.
Yes.
But recently here, Joey's been getting a beating, and he's been doing better. And that's the thing. It's easy to get a beating at jiu-jitsu. Like I get a beating at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, look at Miguel's half black eye.
I got a little bit. You probably can't see it anymore. I got a little bit of a black eye. But it's easy. If you're not trying, if you're not focused, if you're not paying attention, you're gonna get your ass beat.
Yeah.
You know, and he's been like that for a little while, and now he's making progress. So that's why I told Audrey, I'm like, hey, I saw you. You're doing great. And you know what? When I took him, I thought about you too. I want to get you something, but not right now.
That was so good.
Not right now.
You're such
right
a good
now
daddy.
is Joey's.
Yes.
I was like, tomorrow we can go pick up some chocolates or some candies or something. I was like, but let Joey have this moment. You know, because if I give him something and I give you something, it doesn't mean anything.
Right.
I was like, it's like a participation trophy. If everybody gets a trophy, the trophies don't mean shit. You know? So I was like, let him have it. And she's like, okay. And she, you know, she kind of understood it.
Yeah.
So shit you got to learn, man. It's crazy.
Yes.
But you know, we were talking, we've been talking about how we've been watching all these 90s movies. And
wait, you're going to go there? I thought we were going to go talk about the jiu-jitsu podcast we were listening to a little while
were we? Oh, the Hicks and Gracie
I
podcast
wanted to
with
talk
Jocko.
about that because I'm thinking to myself,
Go
I'm
for
like,
it. Shit, we'll talk about that next time. If you want to bring up a jiu-jitsu podcast, let's do it.
No, I don't want to talk about it for an hour.
No.
But Miguel is in the bathroom getting ready, and he turned on a podcast. And what podcast was it, babe?
It's Jocko Podcast with Hicks and Gracie, number 293.
Okay, and Hicks and Gracie is
so if you just heard the name Gracie in jiu-jitsu is legendary. I mean, when jiu-jitsu originally started in Japan and then was brought to Brazil, and then through the Gracie family and some other people, like I think there's a lot of other people, but I don't know if it's publicity or what. I don't know. But the Gracie family has a huge influence on jiu-jitsu. They developed a lot of stuff, and this is one of the kids, like one of the most influential people in the family.
Yes.
Hicks and Gracie. And he wrote a book called Breathe, and he was being interviewed by Jocko.
Okay. And all I heard, because I'm getting ready too, so I'm listening to this podcast, and you know, it's really good, but he's talking about the family and how the family got started and the idea behind it. And they wanted to have all kinds of kids, all boys, not just kids, boys specifically, so that they can build a what?
A clan.
A clan.
Of fighters.
Yes.
They want to have a clan of fucking murderers.
And this is what I heard. I heard that one of his wives... his wife, like his wife had his back on this, okay?
Crazy.
Yeah, like she had his back. I don't know how he convinced her to allow him to sleep with other women to build this clan. I'm like, what? Hold up. Wait a minute. Don't stop seeking.
Hey, focus.
No, okay, focus. Okay. And I'm like, what? And all I heard was him saying that they had not maid. It wasn't the maid. It was the person who took care of the kids, or maybe it was the maid.
I think it was the maid or the nanny.
Something like that. I think it was the nanny who, what was her nationality? Africa.
I think she was, because, from Africa, people were taken all over the world. So I think it was like an Afro-Brazilian. It was like half black.
Like that, okay.
She was half black, half Brazilian.
And she was 18 or something. She was a lot younger, like that, yeah. And so the wife couldn't have
kids
anymore. And so she was like, "Oh, why don't you just sleep with so and so?"
No, I don't know if it was like that. I think they made the deal.
No, I'm sure they had, a talk. There was a lot more involved.
But that wasn't the only situation. Like they were doing that
is
normal.
The one. Yes, and I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
It was just insane.
Yeah. They made a clan. They wanted to have as many kids as possible so that they could have a clan of fighters.
So my question is, what happened to the daughters? What happened to their sisters? Because there had to be some girls made.
That's a good freaking question.
Right? Because you don't hear about the girls. What do they do with the girls?
Because there were some. I mean, it is also insane.
How many kids was there?
It was insane because I thought they said that they had like out of 20 something. I don't know if it was like 16 or 18 were boys.
Yeah. Like how does that happen?
Like how jacked up would it be? Like you get the idea. You're like, you know what? We're going to have as many kids as possible. And we're going to build a clan of fighters. And you start trying to have kids and you start having nothing but girls. And it's like, I guess we're going to have a clan of girl fighters. It's like, I don't know what we're going to do. Girls can be fighters too.
Yeah. But I'm like, what? Listening to the story, and it was just nuts, like blew my mind.
Yeah. It's a really good podcast.
Yes,
they talk about
is.
Like relating it to life.
Yes.
Like, I mean, one of the things, just to give you guys an example, when you're fighting, sometimes you're in a bad position and you have to be calm. You have to wait until you see what the other person's going to do so that you can do something. There's times when you're in a bad position or something's going to happen where you can't wait. You have to go
act now. Yes.
Go now. There's no thinking, just act. And there's times when you have to set something up and do something different. And they were talking about like in life, in business,
so true.
Like sometimes you can't just act. You have to wait and see how things are going to play out so that you can make different decisions. And then there's times when you can't wait. You have to make a move now, or else you're going to lose your company. You're going to get in trouble, or something's going to happen.
Right.
So it's a great podcast. I want to get that book, and once I get it and listen to it, maybe I can talk about it here. Speaking of books, real quick, before we get out of here, this is something that you had talked about, like you've been fasting here recently for the last, I don't know how many days, and we're kind of getting
it was close
slowly.
It was close to 4.
Close to 4 days.
It was at the end of the 3rd day.
But slowly but surely, we're not eating as much shit and garbage, right? I haven't been eating garbage either.
Yeah,
like I've had a little bit, but
dinner,
not much.
You've been doing good because I've been. Yeah, no, you're doing good. Yeah. But the reason
one
why
thing that we noticed was, or that I noticed, like you started listening to the Bulletproof Radio podcast again.
Yes.
And that kind of made me think, like, because as soon as you started listening to it, like it was on again. You started, I see the fucking cup of black shit again, and Sonja's drinking charcoal.
The active charcoal.
She's got fucking pills that she's taking.
Apple cider vinegar pills.
So like the vitamins. Like Sonja's making faces when she's drinking shit. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, it's on again.
Yeah, I got some bone broth.
Yes, you get bone broth. Yeah. So like I'm thinking, the Bulletproof Radio, like that's what you're listening to. That's helping you stay focused.
Yes.
when you want to eat the garbage and the bad shit, you're probably thinking about the shit that you're listening to on Bulletproof Radio.
Yes.
And then I told you that there was a time, it's been a while. I need to get back to it, but there was a time when I was also on it. Like I was going hard in every aspect of everything.
You're fucking crazy.
But that was the time when I was listening to a lot more of the Jocko podcast. Mm-hmm. I was listening more to David Goggins. Like I was listening to more books, and maybe I need to like find the time and stop some other shit so that can get in there more, because it is true. Like the things helps. Like if you're listening to that kind of stuff,
yes,
jiu-jitsu, fuck, it's just everything.
Yeah.
But one thing that I noticed is when I was doing better in jiu-jitsu, I was watching jiu-jitsu videos. I was listening to jiu-jitsu stuff.
Yes.
I was writing down in my journal like fucking how to do moves and how to set shit up.
Yep.
Yeah, if you focus and that's what you're focused on, that's what you have success in.
Like, fasting. And the reason why I was like, okay, this has to stop. It has to stop because I'm feeling it in my body. I started to feel swollen.
Achy.
I started to get
arthritis.
Really achy. It was just, my body was thrown off, and me being 44, it's like, you can't be messing around like that because your body takes longer to recuperate. It takes longer to heal, though your body is very forgiving. But, going through the fasting, the second day is always so rough for me. And in the evening, during the day, I am kicking ass. I am fine, but it's because I'm busy, and I'm telling you, I was listening to Dave Asprey, and I'm looking for fasting audios that I can listen to, like how this is helping my body, how, not only fasting to get healthy, but spiritual fasting. So during one of the days where I didn't have so much work during the day, I was meditating, I was praying, I was quieting my mind, I was focusing on my body, feeling what's going on. There's people that can meditate so good. They could feel the blood flow. Like they can, like they feel certain things that's happening within the body. It's crazy. I'm not there.
Babe.
What?
That book. From Hicks and Gracie, Breathe. Remember I showed you that video of him talking to Joe Rogan where he was talking about your lungs and your brain and your heart, and your brain, your heart and your brain, like how just breathing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes. Yeah. But since I fasted, so I've been 2 days or something like that.
Yeah, it's been 2 days.
It's I've been eating fat, good fats, avocado, a lot of avocado, eggs, and anyways, and I feel better, like my joints, everything. I just feel so much better. I have more energy, though I had a bit of a headache this morning, but as soon as I did what I did, then I started to feel good again. But I don't feel swollen anymore. I'm more focused. I don't got that brain fog. Nice. I even remembered what the white balance
I know. Yeah.
You're like, wait, what? Where'd you read that somewhere? I'm like, no, that's what it's called, right?
Yeah, the white balance for the camera.
Yeah. So some things it's tough, but it's like you just got to do what you got to do, and you got to know what works for you. And I enjoy fasting because I enjoy how I feel too when I'm fasting as well. Except for the evenings when I feel like I'm starving. And Miguel, let me tell you how self-disciplined I am when I fast. I cooked you guys some
you made some bomb ass food the other day.
And
you've been making some bomb ass food.
I told him I think I could, like I enjoy cooking when I'm hungry because I don't enjoy cooking. It's not that I don't know how to cook. It's just I'm not that woman that's in the kitchen whistling while you work. Whistle while you work.
What's with you and the singing and dancing today?
Because I'm going to party.
Is this the, what is this shit? The pregame. This is the pregame.
This is the pregame. But so anyways,
we're so out of it.
I did not taste. I didn't take one bite. I didn't taste my food, but I knew it was good. Like I knew it was good. And
it was good.
Miguel, at night. I feel like, oh my God, like I'm starving and I'm over here drinking magnesium and eating all the ice.
Fucking lame.
And Miguel's next to me chomping on freaking grapes and good cheese.
Hell yeah.
And sausage. And I'm like, ugh. And I'm like, good. I'm like, okay. I'm looking at him like, it's okay. I feel good. It's okay. It's okay. I feel good. No. Anyways, we got to get out of here. It was fun.
Thanks for being with us. Make sure you guys go to oppositesattractpodcast.com. Share it with the people that you know.
Thank you so much for watching Opposites Attract Podcast,
where we get better
together. Bye.